welcome to Heart Tarot Now. It's so good to see you back here, and today we're going to be doing a reading on what does your higher self want to say to your ego. And also advice on parenting your ego. We're just going to do 2 piles today. Okay, we're going to take 2 piles and 2 cards that are a message from your higher self to your ego, and 2 cards which is a message for how to parent your ego. Pile 1. What does your higher self need to tell your ego? Pile 2, what does your higher self need to tell your ego? Now, what does your ego need to know? What do you need to know in order to parent your ego? What do you need to know to parent your ego? What do you need to know, pile 2, in order to parent your ego? Fill those. What is the outcome of healing your ego, or working with your ego to heal yourself? Pile 1, just 1 card. Healing the ego. Do one more shuffle. This 1 card. What's the outcome of healing your ego? That one. All right. Pile 1. What does your higher self need to say to your ego? There's stagnation, self-sabotage, holding on to something that isn't meant for you, stubbornness, a tendency to be a martyr. So your higher self says, I lean into my inner world of limitless miracles, surrendering to the divine will of the cosmos. So the main message in this first card is to surrender to the Most High, surrender to your higher self, to your spirit team, or just surrender in general to the ego. So the ego surrenders. And again, the affirmation is, I lean into my inner world of limitless miracles, surrendering to the divine will of the cosmos. So Ace of Swords in reverse, over-analyzing, getting stalled out or stuck, clouded judgment, keeping the truth inside. So the message to the ego here is over-analyzing, doing all those wonderful calculations that the ego does. It gets stuck and clouded with judgment when it comes to trying to go beyond calculations and logic, emotions, and going outside of the ego, thus keeping your truth inside. So the message here is, I experience brilliant moments of clarity. Okay, the next cards are how to parent your ego, Knight of Cups, Emperor, and then the result is the Nine of Pentacles. So how to parent your ego. Treat your ego like a hopeless romantic, like someone who wears their heart on their sleeve. Treat your ego like a lover, a thing of beauty, a message or a proposal or a lover. So basically, learning to love your ego and let it parent that by working with that like a child. Because the ego is great for calculations, but ego may not be so good for everything. We know it could maybe good for helping to feel confident to get a job or confident to take action, which is awesome, but then parenting the ego would be knowing when to start and when to stop. So the Emperor, the structure, the foundation is treat your ego also like the ego would want to be treated, like successful. You're successful. Here, feed the ego with love, like you're successful. You're consistent and a calm leader. Your strategic plans are in motion. Your confidence and ambition are awesome. Leading your people with love and compassion is wonderful. Structure, sovereignty, and being assertive is super awesome when trying to get a job, when trying to ask somebody on a date. But it may not be so great when you're wanting to have compassion towards, say, a friend, or deal with emotions, or deal with hard things. So make an offer of love to parent your ego like a child. Give them love. Hug them. Here, ego, I love you. Thank you for doing the things that you helped me do today. Now I'm going to put you to sleep for a little bit and talk to you tomorrow. You've been so successful today. Thank you, thank you, thank you for helping me. And then the outcome of healing your ego is the Nine of Pentacles, which the Nine of Pentacles is financial independence, fulfillment in your own self or life, career, or and when it comes to the ego here, you can be independent of the ego and utilize the ego and the mind rather than it use you, which is how we get out of our head and how we can ascend. Achievements, discipline, grace, manifestation, abundance, a self-made success story, spiritual and material peace, personal goals met, contentment, and inner peace. So the Nine of Pentacles is healing your ego, is going to give you so much spiritual, material peace, help you meet your goals, help you really be content and at inner peace, because then you really understand that the ego is a tool. We're above the ego. We're ascending beyond the ego. We'd like to use it when we need to, and we also need to know when to put it to bed. Say, good night, ego. Thank you so much for that information. Thank you, mind, for that information. We can chat again tomorrow. Say 10 a.m. So with the Nine of Pentacles, another affirmation message is, I rest as often as I can, and I understand the gift of solitude and deep grounding. How often are you tuning into your own inner quiet in order to recharge your soul? In what ways does your alone time help you to build your external world? And as you fearlessly pursue your goals, are you tuning into shifting of the seasons to hear what your natural rhythms are? So as you're resting this ego and this mind, you're able to hear nature. You're able to hear sounds and things that you may not have heard before, because that ego can be so loud. Good night, little one. Thank you. We will talk to you again tomorrow. Pile 1, that is your message, and I have this little music box that I brought to play, and I'll let you read the little message that I have here that I picked up on a Facebook post. I open a path to wealth without end. The money I need, the universe will send. Paid are the bills, my coffers overflow. My worries release, my wealth grows. My own blocks, be from spirit or mind, no longer hamper, no longer blind. Harming none, this is my will, and so shall it be. This came from a Facebook post from Gray Matter Inspired. And here's the song. Name that song. Thanks, pile 1. Okay, pile 2. What message does your higher self have for your ego today? Okay, the message here, the need to create strong foundations to support your dream, risk of financial loss, missed opportunities, the need to prioritize, being overly greedy, and missing the bigger picture. So when we're using our ego, like I said in pile 1, that we can actually utilize the ego as a tool. And with the Ace of Pentacles here in this hands, and I know this is reversed, but using the mind as a tool can help grow our spiritual growth, connecting up to heaven, connecting to God, connecting to the light, and also connecting to the earth, and utilizing both of those energies to connect within your heart and create as much light within yourself as you can. And when it comes to the ego is going to calculate things. The ego is going to definitely make beautiful patterns with numbers. The mind is definitely going to assist with getting jobs and assist with taking action. But to parent your ego, you need to hold the ego in your hand, so it doesn't control you. You hold it in your hand and you let it, assist you when you need to have that ego. So the affirmation for this one is, I plant my goals with intention, direct focus, and faith. The Three of Swords reverse is a need to heal. So I need to heal the ego. You might be stuck in sadness and grief, which when it comes to your ego, I would say that could definitely make it the negative side of the ego. So, saying negative things, not even knowing why. Sometimes, like, I don't know if that's ever happened where you're speaking and all of a sudden you're speaking negative things. You're like, where did that come from? That has a lot to do with your internal world not being healed and not healing this tug of war with the ego and the mind and the spirit. And the ego, of course, might say, oh, my heart's broken, I can't do anything, I'm a victim, I'm staying in this darkness. And so the message from your higher self to your ego is that my heart remains tender and open. So in order to get out of the ego, if you're really, really deep into it, just say, my heart remains tender and open over and over again. Or do some heart chakra healing meditations. They're free on YouTube or, sometimes, whichever music platform you subscribe to, Apple Music, Amazon Music, they all have heart chakra music. So do some heart chakra music to heal that heart and say to yourself that your heart remains tender and open, and let your ego calculate and do all these beautiful things, with the ego and the mind that it can do. But do not let it continue to keep you in this dark place. Heartbroken, she falls to her knees and screams to the universe for a second chance. Separation can come in many forms, from the loss of a relationship or identity to the disintegration of belief, purpose, or goals. Separation from what we thought we had can mark painful moments in our lives. If you find yourself amidst wavering realities and losing something that feels near and dear to your heart, know that this too shall pass. This severing, although painful, is a necessary part of the process. Despite all proof of the contrary, your brightly lit future will arrive because of this experience. Tie yourself to your light and prepare to spend some time nurturing your tender spirit. These shadowy times are always opportunities to become stronger and more resilient. So give yourself time to heal and know that you will love, thrive, and find inspiration again soon. My heart remains tender and open. So, with the ego, just say to the ego, hey, ego, thank you so much for giving me that information today. It's dark and it's hurtful, and it's maybe the truth, but I'm going to say that I'm going to let go of that today and say thank you for that information. I've learned this lesson. I can let it go now. And each moment that you feel that your heart is open and it's tender, healing and coming out and coming up, your spirit will rise. So let the spirit and you as your spirit hold the ego in your hands. Give it love. Don't let it break you. The ego does die, but the spirit continues on. So a message about parenting your ego. Knight of Swords and the King of Swords. Ooh. These guys are good friends. The Knight and the King, they work really well together. Could be dealing with some air signs. But swift and quick, this little ego comes in and you parent that little ego. Hey, the ego says, I got something today for you. I got this for you. I got this, and it's intense. It's fast. This horse, he's moving really fast. And this King of Swords is staying steady and saying, hey, awesome. That's intense energy to have to take. But I got my sword down, dude. Let's take a rest. Thank you for that information. That's really going to help, propel us forward, to get us to our goals, to help us, find that job, start that new business, ask that person out on a date, whatever it is that you need your ego to feel confident in order to do something, utilize that ego. But then when it's time, say, good night, ego, let's go to sleep. when this little horsey's coming in so fast, this King of Swords is sitting here, not moving, looking to the future, saying, dude, hey, little ego, let's just chill. Thank you so much for that information, but I got my sword down. Doesn't need to be so intense. Breathe, sit down, relax, sit on your throne, meditate. Thank the ego for all this beautiful creativity and the beautiful things that the ego does have to offer you. Thank them and just put them to bed, tuck them away, say good night. We'll talk again tomorrow. Knight of Swords, a fast thinker, wit, ambition, the analytical mind, a great problem solver, a time for fast action and haste, saving the day, assertiveness, ambition, and being direct, defending others and being a hero. Cool. So, the ego is very good at that. Ambition, fast thinker, you need that. If you're on Wall Street and you're making trades, day trades, or if you're directing airplane traffic and air traffic control, you definitely have to have this Knight of Swords mind and energy to help save people's lives. I mean, use it when you got it, and it is awesome to have it. That is a skill and that is a gift we all need. But also know when to sit there, when it's like relax now after you've gone home from an intense day of using the mind. Come into that King of Swords of just have that control over that little guy. An intellectual leader, an excellent communicator, being calm, cool, and collected, expert status, and confidence. So you can still use that ego with a blend of this little knight charging in by finding that balance that this King of Swords is exhibiting of being calm, cool, and collected. He's an expert. He's confident. So he's accepted all these awesome things of the ego, but he's also in his spirit and is in his truth. So this is an Eagle Conversations from the Curious Creature deck of Chris-Anne. Status, law, and correct action are important in my role as a leader. How do you balance these in your life along with compassion and flexibility? How are you claiming authority and power over your own path, and what ways do you assert your intelligence? And how do you calmly and gracefully lead others towards a better world? And then the Knight of Swords this is called a lilac-breasted roller parrot, it looks like. While I aggressively defend my nest, I also know that most of the threats I perceive are actually completely harmless. How quick are you to jump in and defend? How do you discern friend and foe, stranger from actual danger, and something ignorable from something you must respond to? What would help you get better at solving problems in the blink of an eye? And how does fast action and quick wit keep you moving? So this mind and these thoughts they can be intrusive. They can be aggressive. They can always think we're in danger, always being scared, fight or flight. So then we start to feel weak. Maybe our kidneys are weak from being scared all the time. Maybe our body is weak because that's kind of an overdrive. So to parent your ego is to bring in this King of Swords, calm, cool, and collected energy so that this aggressive, maybe even just obsessive energy that the ego and the mind can do over and over again, the same thought, loop, let's get out of that loop. Let's say ego, hey dude, we just thought about that 5 or 10 minutes ago. Can we think about that in like 2 weeks or something? Like how about 2 weeks from now we can chat about that. By the time 2 weeks comes, you can even write it on a journal or a piece of paper or a calendar. If you have like a desk calendar, make a calendar for your ego and put which date you're going to talk to about that specific subject again next. And 2 weeks comes down and you might just forget about it. So what's the outcome in healing the ego? Done with all of the victim mentality. Done with being stabbed in the back. 10 is the number of completion. That's a lot of air. air, 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 air. Three of Swords, Ten of Swords, Knight of Swords, King of Swords. Way air, and one earth guy here with all this air. So we need to balance out the elements. Add some water, some fire. There's no fire in the cards. And some earth. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. So how about we get two fire energies, like some of your friends who are fire energy, hang out with them a little bit more. Or somebody that you like to watch on YouTube, or somebody that has passion, inspiration, that fire, air energy, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. Sometimes that can, sorry, that's the air signs. You want the fire signs, excuse me. You want either Sagittarius, Leo, or Aries. Add some of them. Add some water signs and some earth signs. So the Ten of Swords is an ending, an abrupt disconnections, feeling stabbed in the back. I need to let go in order to heal. An opportunity to heal from lessons and challenges of the past. Finding your resilience. We cannot venture into new levels of vibration until we look at our lives as the culmination of every step we've taken. Then and only then can we begin to unhook from the stories and create a new world. How does the swarm around you serve to help you and to hinder you? What is ending and what is beginning? What have you learned through your challenges? So you got way too many air signs, way too much air. You need a little bit of passion, inspiration. You could use a little bit more material assistance, it looks like. But it looks like getting out of the head is going to allow you to do that, to turn it around. Get out of the victim mentality. Look at the sunshine. If you're not in victim mentality, just all these swords right here that have been in your back, that's just saying you've been through so much, and it's been very intense. That's why the mind is this way. So healing the ego is going to see the ego for what it is, that it can stab you in the back. The ego can take a turn on you because the ego doesn't necessarily know compassion or doesn't know the higher order of things. Maybe the ego is more like for calculating, for getting things done, motivation, for using the mind to do very, very complex tasks, which is awesome. But that's a lot of swords to have in your back from being stuck so low down in the ego. So that affirmation is, I am tender, I am open. My heart is open, my heart is tender. That's going to help complete the cycle. It is completing. And you're going to start to walk into the sunshine. Let's pull one more card for pile 2. Just to clarify the Ten of Swords. Maybe we'll pull a card from each deck. See what we got. Can you please clarify the Ten of Swords for me? We want to. One more. Just a card to clarify the Ten of Swords. Ten of Wands. Wow. Oh. I got the same card as well. I shuffled, didn't I? Yeah, I shuffled. So 10-10. Something could be important on October 10th, but been working so hard, and you've got all those things growing, all these things that are sprouting and ready. And the hard work looks like it's becoming to a little bit where the hard work of the ego tries to make, or the overexertion of the mind, or the ego is extremely a lot of work to have to parent the ego, but it's going to take some work to parent that ego and keep reminding your heart each day, or you could say it every hour. You could put a alarm on your phone every hour that says, "My heart is open and tender," until you start to really feel that warmth come into your soul, into your heart. And then it looks like here, the Knight of the Cups, maybe some new love coming in, or maybe bringing an empty cup or a full cup, or bringing this heart that was on a string, basically. Somebody luring, somebody catfishing your heart. You standing as a leader in this. Say, "Hey, dude, what? Why are you catfishing me? Why are you luring in my heart like this?" The Emperor's like, "Dude, I want to be successful. I want to be a leader." Success and a consistent and calm leader, strategic plans in motion. Confidence and ambition, leading your people with love and compassion, structure and sovereignty, and being assertive. Walrus conversations. How comfortable are you leading a group? How well do your people respond? What needs a little work? What structures do you need to pay more attention to? What does your ideal empire look like? And how can you have a little more fun building it? I am the Emperor Cuckoo Chakshu. And the Tower. You know, people sometimes can be scared of the Tower, but the Tower actually, lightning actually, when it comes out of the sky, it's loud, it's scary, and when it hits the earth, it makes thunder, but that's actually creating ozone. The ozone is oxygen, 3 oxygens, if you know chemistry. Oxygen is O2, but ozone is O3. So what happens with that lightning is an alchemical reaction that turns oxygen into 3 instead of 2. And that goes up into the barrier between the earth and creates more ozone for protecting people from all kinds of things. Ozone layer protects, I think, from radiation and problems out in space that we don't want. And as you can see, lightning is striking here, but the grass is growing. You still have some butterflies of transformation. This is transformation and magic that comes from a tower moment. This guy, this little squirrel, is safe in his hut. He's like, whoa, it's getting struck by lightning, but you know, unexpected change, chaos, dramatic events, opportunities to see what you've been missing, perspectives challenge, a new paradigm, and a wake-up call. Lemur, so lemur, not a squirrel. Conversations. I had a haunting call at night, but that is other people's perception, not mine. Things are usually not nearly as frightening as they seem, and my own truth is one of playfulness and resourcefulness. What's my mantra? Lighten up. How are you softening into the impossible to controls? And how are you enjoying your days, regardless of the worries you may still hold on to? And you can let go of most all of those worries. I mean, I'm not religious, but I believe in God and a higher power and the Most High, and I like to take different things from different religions that I like, that I feel apply to me. So what I mean by that is there's a serenity prayer that I guess, I'm not sure which religion it is, but it says, God grant me, you could say goddess, you could say universe, you could say higher self, you could say most high, you could say source. So all those names I just said, say, grant me the courage to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It's pretty close. I don't know if I got it exact, but it's basically about knowing what you can change, what you can't, and the difference between what you can change and what you can't change. And just because something you can't change right now, you accept, I can't change it right now. That doesn't mean that with your courage to change the things you can, that might not eventually make the whole thing change. But the tower is coming down, and that can represent a hierarchy, that can represent all kinds of things. And when we're talking about the mind and healing the ego, when the ego comes crashing down, it's like, what else is there? You feel raw, you feel nothingness. And a lot of Buddhist books and gurus and Buddha that I've read is that you're trying to get to nothingness. Nothingness is no thingness outside of the ego, which outside the ego would be nothingness, which could be the vast possibilities, unlimited possibilities of the entire universe, God, higher self, most high, source. So getting out of the ego, crashing that down is raw. It hurts. It's scary. But when you're out of the ego, of course, when you're completely out of the ego, there will be no fear. There is no fear in nothingness. Nothingness is just nothing. And ego doesn't want to be nothing, but we have to utilize it to calculate. But the ego, you can be gentle with it, but the ego will trick you every time. So one of the ways when the egos crash down, for me, these emotions come up. So what I do is I learned from Matt Kahn, which he's on YouTube, but it's really helped me a lot. Like when you're scared, you call out the emotion. You say, I am scared, scared am I. And whenever I am scared, scared am I, may I be fulfilled and liberated for the well-being of all. And he also takes it even further and says, whenever I am scared, scared am I, may I become not scared am I, and fulfilled and liberated for the well-being of all. So that's the affirmation that you could write down. I'll do it with fear now. If you're feeling fear in this tower, now that all the ego is down and there's nothingness, just complete nothingness, you might, just before you hit that nothingness, feeling of nothingness, you might have fear. So you say, whenever I am fear am I, may I be fulfilled and liberated for the well-being of all. Whenever I am fear am I, may I become fearless am I, and fulfilled and liberated for the well-being of all. To me, that releases the fear, and I can feel that very strongly. And I do that with every emotion that's negative. If I know and I don't want to admit that I is ego, and then I say, if my I, my spirit, me, myself, and I, or we, whenever we are negative are we, may we be fulfilled and liberated for the well-being of all. That's saying it's okay to feel that negative emotion. Then we turn it even further and say, whenever I am negative am I, may I be nothingness in love. Nothingness in love am I, and fulfilled and liberated for the well-being of all. You could also say, whenever I'm negative am I, may I be neutral or positive or neutral am I, and fulfilled and liberated for the well-being of all. So yeah, it's a hard time, but those affirmations and changing, reading a book or learning how to deal with the ego will be very important. But healing the ego is even more important, and it is going through. You have to go through a tower sort of to get there, but I believe in you, and I know I'm still working on that journey as well. So pile 2, that's what I have for you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing, and I'll catch you next time. I open a path to wealth without end. The money I need, the universe will send. Paid are the bills, my coffers overflow. My worries release, my wealth grows. My own blocks, be from spirit or mind, no longer hamper, no longer blind. Harming none, this is my will, and so shall it be. This came from a Facebook post from Gray Matter Inspired. And here's the song. Name that song.